So let's talk Florida State football. And with Florida State, I think some of the key things you need to know about Florida State this year is the defensive line is going to be pretty strong. I know I've talked with some of you Florida State fans. We kind of conversed on in the comments. Florida State is going to be strong in the defensive line, and here's why. There's a few guys. Braden Fisk is a transfer from Western Michigan. I really like his skill set. This guy's played a lot of football, going all the way back to 2019. Played significant snaps for Western Michigan. Really dominant stat line the last couple of seasons. This guy that can rush the passer, can get off of blocks. He's stout against the run. You see the quickness off the snap. I really liked Fisk's game. Fabian Lovett's another talented guy, too. Former transfer from Mississippi State. They just got to keep him healthy. The 7 games he played, he really showed some ability. They just got to stay on the field, stay healthy. So with Lovett, Fisk, Jared Verse, you see those 3 guys, that is going to be a heavy presence up front. I think that's going to be that versus the LSU's offensive line in week 1. That is going to be must-see TV, and that is going to be a heck of a battle, 4 quarters long. Whoever wins that, you got to believe is probably going to win the game. If the edge goes to the LSU offensive line, LSU probably wins. If they have the edge in that game, Florida State probably wins. So, yeah, Florida State defensive line is going to be pretty strong. The 2 linebackers, Tatum Bethune, Kalen DeLoach. DeLoach is a nice player. He's got some ability to rush the passer. I think he's got a good all-around skill set. Bethune, pretty solid player too. So, I mean, you look at Florida State as far as the defensive line and the linebacking core, and you say, yeah, it's a pretty strong unit overall. But yeah, Florida State going to be tested week 1 against LSU. Super excited to see how they do this year. I think they know the challenge it's going to be this year. It's not going to be. It was difficult last year, but it's not going to be any easier. If anything, it's going to be harder this year against LSU. Jordan Travis, how does he play against this LSU defense that you got to believe is going to be improved? It's going to be more stout up front. Jordan Travis needs to play well. Trey Benson. Can Trey Benson kind of be the identity of this Florida State team? Do they really lean on Benson to just be that physical downhill runner, guy that they can really just can be the bell cow for 4 quarters straight? I think that's a big question for Florida State. I think that's going to be answered probably week 1. Will give you a glimpse of what he could be as far as their identity and the guy that can just pound the ball. But yeah, with Florida State, some of the incoming freshmen, Hakeem Williams was the 5-star receiver they landed. He's a talented player. He's got good size. He's a guy that knows how to get open on, I say know how to get open on screens. It's not super hard to get open on screens, but it's a guy that can make plays on screen, make people miss. He's got good long speed, plays strong, plays fast. So yeah, Williams got a chance to make an impact right away. Some of the other guys they landed, Lucas Simmons, offensive tackle. This guy has got a good all-around skill set. He's got good size. No really weakness in the guy's game, except maybe not like a high-end athlete. Doesn't really have like a ton of high-end traits, but he does everything at a solid, good level. So yeah, I mean, and then Conrad Hussey too, another 4-star guy, safety. Hussey's a guy he's got really good ball skills. I think that's really good. What's going to set him apart at Florida State. I think this guy that's going to make some plays on the ball for him. Moves laterally well. Can make open field tackles. Strong physical tackler. See ability to the long speed. Apparently, is a guy that can run down offensive players too. So, yeah, Florida State. Not the easiest schedule. They got to play Florida like every year. Clemson. LSU week 1. So, yeah, I mean, the ACC, as much as people talk the ACC not being one of the strongest conferences, it's definitely not a conference. It's definitely no slouch. I think the ACC, like, no one, with the exception of maybe 2013 through 2015, 16, when you had Clemson and Florida State good. But even then, it was kind of those two. Every year, I think the ACC is like when you think strongest conferences, it's always Big Ten, SEC, then maybe Pac-12, the third, maybe Big 12 is the third toughest one year. You never ACC. I mean, I guess the ACC sometimes third strongest, but like you never think ACC is one of the strongest conferences. So, but to me though, there's not the grind week in and week out of the SEC or Big Ten, but there's still always a few games that you're going to have to get up for, and that Duke is always pretty competitive. Virginia Tech's still fairly competitive. Virginia kind of has flashes. North Carolina is well coached and very competitive. So the ACC, as much as people not really forget about it, as much as people don't really put an emphasis on how tough it can be, it is a conference that week in and week out you have to bring your A game. You can't there's no really teams in the ACC necessarily that you can just kind of sleepwalk and show up. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to touch on with Florida State. Obviously challenging game, like I've reiterated, week 1 against LSU. You kind of get the feel that I'm not sure exactly what the vibe from the Florida State players was. I was listening to Kalen DeLoach's interview. Him and Jared Verse were on the Florida State channel. I think that Mike Norvell kind of strikes me as a guy. He's always kind of just. He seems like a guy that doesn't get too high or too low. He kind of seems like a pretty level-headed guy, I guess. It seems like he's kind of like in the same. He's kind of same state of mind, same hungry, same ready to move forward. But to me, I don't think Norvell's getting old. I don't think he's a guy that'll buy it. Like the hype will affect him and he'll lose focus or anything. I think he's ready. I think he understands what this team can do. They've done so much. They've done a lot of work in the transfer portal, especially at the wide receiver, tight end position. Keon Coleman is going to present a unique threat on the outside. Him and Johnny Wilson too. You got big physical wide receivers. We'll see if Hakeem Williams can play as a freshman. If you get him too, then you got 3 wide receivers, 6'4" above. That puts a lot of pressure on opposing defensive backs. So yeah, and then Trey Benson, like this offense, and then I forgot to mention they landed a tackle from UTEP, Jeremiah Byers too. He's another talented guy. So I think they did a good job of. They really. Not only they did a really good job of addressing needs in the transfer portal. Jeremiah Byers, I think, is a guy that's going to play high-end football for him at right tackle. And just Florida State, like I've touched on, they're going to be fun to watch offensively, but I think they are going to present such a unique threat to opposing defenses with their skill position players. And I think it's going to be fun to watch, like I've reiterated, but I think it's going to be very unique. And I think how defenses are going to play them and what type of how many big plays can Florida State generate and how efficient is this offense, I think is going to be kind of the key questions. But yes, because like with Florida State, like with all the play, like, this offense should be at least solid. Barring some injuries, but like how high of a ceiling does this offense have? I don't think that's a question that people have really posed too much. I think that Florida State, not necessarily kind of quiet. I'll actually say it this way, kind of quietly has put together an offense that could be extremely potent. Now, we haven't really seen too many potent offenses from Florida State in a long time, but you got to believe that this has the potential to be probably the most explosive one since the 2013 national title and the 2014 team that had a really good offense with Winston and all those guys. So, yeah, is this the best offense, most explosive offense since maybe 2013, 2014 from Florida State? Even look at the years after when Florida State was pretty good, and even in 15 and 16 when Florida State was pretty good, their offense was just kind of shaky. The offensive line was really shaky as well. So, yeah, Florida State, can things all come together here? And can each player that, like Jaheim Bell's skill set, Keon Coleman's skill set, Benson's ability to run with power, can all their skill set kind of come together as a nice cohesive unit? And can this offense run efficient and have sustained long drives and create high-end plays and pose unique threat in the red zone? Like Johnny Wilson, Keon Coleman, how big of a red zone threat are these guys? They are a threat, but can they have their best season yet? I think that is a big question, and it'll be something that's super fun to watch from Florida State. Thanks for tuning into the show. Make sure to stay tuned for more episodes and clips from the show. Till next time, peace.